Hey, welcome, Michael Dale from Vault Agency. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you very much for having me, Adrian. Really, really appreciate it, mate.
It's my pleasure. So I brought you on today because you have been building my Shopify website for my 360 indoor skate park. So
Yeah.
I've been very pleased with the outcome of how things have been built, how quickly they've been done, your level of expertise. And I've also been really drawn to expressing or at least encouraging other people to think about how they can maybe pivot within their businesses, or maybe they've got an idea that they're not quite sure how to actually bring it to life, to encourage them to either think about that and obviously use someone like you who can put all the ideas into a kind of context and building all that kind of stuff. Because my opinion is that that's where everyone comes unstuck, right? Everyone's got great ideas, but an
Of
idea is
course.
useless unless it's implemented. True?
Yeah, yeah, of
Okay.
course.
So now that I've said that, whoever wants to learn how to build a Shopify business around any kind of product or program or service, listen in. This is going to be great. And now what I'd like you to do, Michael, if you can, is just maybe introduce yourself as to who you are, what you do, how you come about with Vault Agency.
Yeah, yeah. So, as Adrian's kind of said, my name is Michael Dale. I'm from Volta Agency. And essentially, what we do is we specialize in online retail. Now, what that means for a lot of people is we help people take a business or an idea online. Now, that comes from all aspects. We help with the marketing side of things. We help with the website side of things, and really merge those things together to allow customers to have a really positive experience coming from a lead all the way to making purchases. So that's really what we do at Volt Agency. A little bit about me. We started Volt Agency, I guess, 6 months ago with the intention to grow marketing in a results-based way, and then kind of realized that like there wasn't a huge connection between marketing and websites, and we really wanted to bridge that gap there. I've been doing business stuff for kind of a long time, and I guess 6 months ago, I made that leap from kind of employee into full-time owner of business. It's been a fantastic experience. I've done heaps of e-commerce stuff online. But yeah, is there anything in particular you'd like me to jump in and explain?
No, not at all. I think that's great. I think to give people an idea of where you come from. Obviously, you're a young guy, so when you say you've been doing e-commerce stuff for a long time, I think in Gen Y terms, that's like at least 6 months. No, just kidding. So I know I've known you for a while. So if everyone knows, Michael and I've known each other for quite some time, and I know that we've had heaps of chats around e-commerce, online businesses, and all sorts of things to do with career paths and moves and stuff like that. So I'm really pleased that you've evolved and progressed into this point, because it's really brought you in alignment with what I do in terms of business coaching and my marketing background as well. So what I would like to do is maybe give some people an idea as to why they would choose Shopify or to do any idea with Shopify, or to bring in an idea to life. So that's question one. And maybe you can give us some examples of what really works well in this current climate, because we're kind of going through a bit of a shift in terms of how people do business. So can you start with that first?
Yeah, yeah. So I guess kind of first off, going into like why Shopify is an incredible platform. E-commerce is something that's been around for a really, really long time. Like people have been going online and they've been purchasing things for a long time, but for a long time there wasn't a specific platform that made it easy for people to come on, build an online store and sell things online. And Shopify has really made this excellent platform that gives your customers an awesome user experience, plus also allows you to jump in later and make changes to your website. And they basically just niche down into this specialist market of like how e-commerce works. In terms of what products work well on Shopify, anything you need to sell can be put on Shopify. If you need to sell
Like
something
what?
online, and have those systems integrated. Shopify has pretty much a whole diverse range of things that are really going to complement that.
Give me an idea, like what else? So for those who are listening in, with my skate park, I have obviously got scooter, skateboard, BMX, apparel, our 360 shirts and all that kind of stuff, and everything's on there, right? So if for those people who are only thinking maybe in terms of this could be useful for a product, that's not necessarily true though, is it?
Yeah. So Shopify is most commonly used for products, but there's definitely the opportunity on there to sell services as well. Yeah.
Okay. So can you give me an idea? What's some examples of businesses or business ideas or products or services or programs that could work well?
Yeah. So like in terms of trends that are working really, really well right now and products that are working well, we've seen a huge spike in the homewares area, the outdoor adventure area. So that can be like homewares can be anything from like plant pots. It can be furniture. It can be rugs. It can be all sorts of stuff. It can be candles. In terms of the outdoor stuff, there's heaps of products working there, because people being cramped indoors, they're really wanting to jump out and take charge, really. But yeah.
Okay. So my question always comes up to, I've got a bunch of ideas that I think will work well. So let's say, for example, I want to do sunglasses, and then I also want to do, like we'll pick my current business, with scooters and skateboards and apparel. So then I think the question becomes like, what is going to do really, really well in that particular area? So what makes a product perform really well, and what makes a product perform not so well? What's your take on that?
Yeah. Well, I guess from a standpoint, just as in business as a whole, when it comes to any product, there has to be customers who want that product. If you were to open a restaurant, you need people who like the food that you want to sell, and B, you need people who are in need of that, people who are hungry. So when it comes to a product like yours, you need to obviously make sure that the product is the right product for your audience, but also making sure that you display it in a very enticing way. When it comes to online and Shopify and that kind of stuff, it's really important that you do have a really professional looking website. So you're showcasing these website graphics are very high quality. You're describing the products and really allowing these people to have that buy-in to it.
Okay. All right. So if I was to do my research onto what products are available or what I want to put into the marketplace, then my next step would be that, is there a market for it? And obviously you, do you help with things like that in terms of, establishing whether there is a market, or is someone particularly coming to you with the idea and then you're putting it into place?
Yeah. So when it comes to products, not 9 times out of 10, people would have already established that there is a market. We always help provide a little bit of direction as to like who this is going to be for online, because sometimes your online market changes to what your in-person market is. So we always provide direction around that, but not specifically doing that. At the end of the day, we've kind of like being able to sell nationally and globally, there is generally someone who is going to jump on that product. It's just making sure that you find the right person.
Okay. So the best thing for me to do is to come to you with the product itself. Mm-hmm. And I would have done all my research and about whether it's a saleable product or whether there's a market for it.
Yep.
So now I guess once I've come to you and said, like, what, can you put this to market, or can you display it in such a way that is clean and clear and professional and all those sorts of things? What's the next step from here? Is where do we need to go in terms of bringing this to life?
Yeah, well, next step, I guess, is starting to get a concept of like what kind of website you're after, and generally what that looks like if you were working with an agency like Volt is you would generally meet up with our team as to like what kind of website you want to construct, and then start talking about like what pages are required. It all comes down to what products you have, what kind of collections you're after. Yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah,
Or
absolutely. So just a leaf out of my book, what I did was I went and did some research on a bunch of sites that I thought were really good. And so, but I didn't just look at scooter and apparel, and I didn't look at skateboards and all that kind of stuff. I kind of just, I think from memory, I just Googled like the best Shopify websites and just, come up with a couple of links, and then, went down the rabbit hole of, which one would suit me best. And so I found stuff to do with BMX bikes that I thought were really good, or mountain bikes, sorry, that were really good. But then I looked at other stuff, which was women's clothing. And I think women have a really good idea on aesthetics and appeal, when it comes to their design and their layout. I think they're really, really clever with colors and with fonts and all that sort of stuff. So I kind of just looked at, what was working well. And then I looked at things that maybe I could bolt onto that. So whether it be a pop-up at the beginning, whether it be a discount coupon, whether I could integrate it with Facebook or Facebook Messenger, all those sorts of things. So that was the kind of first steps that I took, was to research the marketplace. I've always been a big believer in like, someone's already done it really, really well. So just, not rip them off, but, model them,
replicate, model.
Yeah. That's a really good word. So just model what they do. And if they're doing something really, really good, then just make your own, add your flavor and add your spin to it. So that's what I did first. So the next part really that I was impressed with you guys was that, I guess the delivery of, how kind of spot on it was to the kind of look and feel that I wanted. So can you maybe give me an idea of, templates or certain things that work well on websites that don't work well on others, and what makes people buy? Maybe we can go down that avenue.
Okay, so like, just to clarify your question, what elements to a website work well, right? Yeah. So I guess jumping right into it, when it comes to a website, there's a whole heap of pages. You got your home page, your collection pages, and obviously your product pages. First off, in like this current market, we're seeing a definite transition to more a modern, contemporary look on websites. And one thing that all websites are really doing is making sure that on their homepage they've got a big, I guess, picture banner with text overlaid on that too, I guess, and that picture obviously being specific that you're using results-based imagery to entice a person. So like showing off that product in use, so that when someone comes onto your site, they're not only seeing products, but they're actually seeing these things in use. And right. Like for yourself, like that could be someone riding a scooter doing a really, really cool trick. And then a person comes onto your site and they go, look, that guy looks absolutely awesome doing this cool trick on that scooter. I wonder if I got myself a scooter, I could learn that. And then that allows them to have a little bit of a emotional there. And another great thing
sorry to cut you short, but just to capture their attention straight off the bat is obviously highly important, because most people, if they're getting to a website, look, that's ugly, for one, or clunky, or it looks old, or it's just not really appealing visually, you've pretty much got, a few seconds to capture someone's attention, and then you may lose them, right? So that initial greeting or, sort of welcome mat type of thing is a huge aspect. Would you agree?
Exactly. Of course. Okay. And then the next thing, I guess, that's really, really important is obviously making sure that your website looks credible. If a person comes online and they see and they see that, you know, this store doesn't have a lot of detail behind it. There's not really a story or about us section talking about like when these guys got started. Like for a site like yours, it's quite easy because you go like, this site is related to this skate park, and this is a real thing. But for a lot of people, that can sometimes become a challenge. So there's certain elements that you can bring in there to build up your online credibility so that people can jump online and buy with confidence, really. Yeah.
Okay. And so what about functionality and things like that? Can you make a website too busy? Can you have too many products? Or like, is it worthwhile having a website or a Shopify page with one product, or like are there any fors and against for all of that?
Yeah. When it comes to website development, there's definitely lots of different ways you can go. If you got one product, you can definitely build out a large site with lots of context about that product. There's generally three main styles of sites you go for. There's like a one product site, a niche based store, and then a general based store, where a general one is just general products in an area. That could be like homewares, where you're selling anything from plant pots to furniture, your general store. And then there's a niche store, which taking from that homeware store, more focusing on like indoor plants. That's what you'd call a niche store. And then obviously there's like a one product store where you could sell like this pen because it's the best goddamn pen out there. So yeah. When it comes to functionality, though, it's really important that you really keep things simple. You allow people to flow through your site with the intent to purchase, kind of barriers they have to go through to purchase, because every barrier makes someone leave, essentially.
Got it. Okay. And so there's a few things that I want to discuss from here. So for me, I think in having that credibility, when you're linking back to, for example, from your website to your social pages, I think that is a really, really good opportunity to develop credibility. And if there's a link between the aesthetics of your page and the aesthetics of your Instagram or your Facebook, for example, or your Pinterest or whatever you're using, then if those things marry up and look as equally as high quality as each other, I think that really works superbly well. And the other thing that you mentioned there was the tie-in between, for example, with my Shopify page, is that the 360 online products are related to the 360 indoor skate park. And so that's actually a really, really good aspect for people to consider. They might say, hey, listen, I own a coffee shop. You know, why would I need a Shopify page? Well, maybe you could be selling beans. Maybe you could be selling your takeaway, sippy cups, those things that people bring to cafes and things like that. There could be other services that you could associate to your particular brand and product and service as well as. So it's almost like an additional income. And if people are walking around with whatever your cafe name is and having their sippy cup and they're buying your coffee and, all those sorts of things, then I think that's a really good link to have a positive association with your business. So I think that's a really, really good point of difference that I think a lot of people may not be considering that's a benefit. Of course. There was another question that I was going to ask you as well. It'll come to me in a second. Okay. So from my business perspective, I want to look at, now that I've got my product, I've researched it to see that there is a market for it and I can do it. I found you and you can bring it all to life because, we've talked about how the page looks and feels and acts, and then we've linked it up to obviously, my account and all that kind of stuff so people can buy efficiently and without having too many barriers. But now I need to get it out there. So, what do I do in terms of, what makes someone go to my Shopify page or my Shopify website versus another one?
So talking about the elements of marketing that come into this.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
What's your take on that? Because obviously you handle those sorts of things as well.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that are, say, critical to know in terms of aligning your brand and getting known in the marketplace?
Yeah. So the main one's been that people online need to know who you are before they purchase from you. No one's going to really jump online and buy someone. I guess this ties back to like the online credibility that I was talking about earlier, where like you need to look professional online, but you also need to be recognized. So number one is outreach. People need to recognize your brand. And number two is the alignment between your marketing and your website, to make sure that like that message from step one is the same message at step 10 for your customer. When it comes to marketing, I guess breaking this down into more like how the system would work, is that step one is for people to recognize your brand, putting something of value out there so that they can start to identify with your brand, they get something of value from you. And then step two, you then start to look at like what kind of products would complement this person, and obviously an alignment between what value you've given to them and what products you sell. For yourself, Adrian, it could be something like you could be reaching out to a national market where you go, like top 5 scooter tricks that anyone can learn. And all these people are jumping on going like, I'd really love to learn some scooter tricks. That would make me super, super cool. Let's jump on that and learn it. And then the easy thing there is you go, all right, well, have these guys got a scooter or the scooter that they want? And it becomes very easy to make that link there.
Yeah, I really like that idea. And so I think, again, if you've got a restaurant, for example, you could create a cooking show, and that cooking show could teach people, certain tips, hints, and tricks around how to create the perfect eggs Benedict or whatever it is. But then that leads to a product or program or service that you would sell on your website. You could have certain recipes or certain things that you're creating, and then that leads to you selling, I don't know, like a Thermomix or something of that nature. So I think that there's a number of opportunities, rather than going out to the marketplace and saying, hey, buy my stuff. Then you could kind of go, hey, if you were interested in learning, say my example, like I like yours, is you interested in learning cool skateboard tricks or cool scooter tricks, or here's the top 5 tricks that are easy, that make you look like a pro, then that could create a large amount of attention. And then obviously through certain marketing mechanisms, you could then easily just go, well, if you're interested in that, then maybe you'd be interested in this scooter, which also makes you look like an awesome pro as well, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I really like that. So is there any other critical steps that you think most people don't follow or make a mistake of when they're trying to create an online product or an online service?
Yeah. I think when it comes to like creating an online product, service, or like creating an online plan, they go, okay, I need a website, so let's get a website, and they'll just chuck this thing together. And it may tell people about the service, but is it the right message for the person? Are they coming onto the right page, and have they already received the right prior context to actually accept what you're showing them on that page? So I think the main thing is when they get to your site to make sure that they get the right message at the right time.
Got it.
And that all comes down to planning and understanding how the world online works.
Yeah, there's certain mechanisms, I suppose, that need to fall into place in sequential order in order to make sure that everyone's following the right sort of bypath or the right knowledge acquisition type of path, I guess. Getting to know you, like you, and trust you has a certain sequence of events when it comes to online marketing. All right, so look, I think that's a load of information to start off with, and I think if I was listening to this training, I would be wanting to know how to approach you with my ideas. So what's the best way for people to get to know you and get to have a word with you and your team, so they can at least approach you and say, hey, here's the idea that I've got. This is where I've gone up to so far, and this is the stage that I'm at. What's next to do? Is there anything that you could offer? Because I know you're going to do something special for anyone that's listening to this training.
Of
I'm
course.
not going to reveal that here. I want them to come and approach you first and just at least sound their ideas out, because I think what's really credible about you and your team, Michael, is that if I come to you and said, hey, listen, I'm selling this product and it was just the worst product in the world, I think the good thing about you is that you would tell me to say, I'm not quite sure this is the direction that you would want to go down, because no one buys this stuff, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's really, really good to not take people's money and then go, oh, you know, I'll leave it up to you now.
Yeah.
Sell that shitty product.
Of
Right.
course.
And so if, in that way, because of your marketing background and your expertise in this field, you may be able to help people pivot or just look a certain direction or a different avenue, which could make all the difference to becoming a successful online business or not. Okay, so what do we do? How do we get in contact with you? Where do we go? Who do we talk to?
Definitely. So best way to reach out to us is there's a few ways. I'm not sure if you can drop my email into there, but best ways to kind of contact us out of there is through our website, vaultagency.com.au, or our Facebook page or Instagram are also great ways to get in contact with us. But yeah, if anyone did want my email address, obviously that's available to anyone. How we would generally do this is step one. We really want to understand exactly what business a person has or what product idea a person has, and then move forwards from there. So yeah.
Okay, great. So I'll pop all that stuff in there. It'll be on this link, and all of that information is there. So for anyone who's listening, please get a hold of Michael, send your email, contact him through their Facebook and their socials and all that kind of stuff, and at least express an interest in getting your business online. I feel like Shopify platform is really robust. It's very sexy in terms of, you know, how it all comes out and looks and stuff like that. And if you don't want to get involved in the techie stuff and learning, you know, 50 hours worth of online content just so you can stuff up, you know, your website 39 times before you get it right, just go see Michael like I did. I always outsource, you know, all the hard stuff. So I think that is a really good thing. And obviously, in my perspective, not trying to persuade anyone in any way, I think there's a real opportunity right now where people have been kind of forced into using online services more often than what they may have done in the past. And then what that does is break down some barriers of how to buy and how to shop online.
Definitely.
And I think we can all agree that we've kind of been moving into this space for quite some time, but this seems to be a moment in time where people have been forced or shifted in a way to kind of alter their buying habits and their buying behaviors. So take advantage of this opportunity and really start to think about how you can pivot your business, or maybe start a little side business, a little side hustle that can bring in some additional dollars that can eventually maybe substitute your current full-time income or part-time income, whatever that may be. So again, Michael, hey, thank you for your time.
No worries. Thank you.
Always a pleasure to talk to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me, Adrian. Really, really appreciate it, mate.
We'll chat soon anyway, so I look forward to talking to you again soon. For now, we'll say goodbye. See you later, mate.
Thank you. See ya.
Bye.